Hello, I'm Presley, and today I will be reviewing episode 9 of the Thousand Year Blood War arc anime. So this episode covers chapters 520, 521, most of 523, and 524. So in total about 4 chapters. Now of course I'll just go ahead and mention this at the beginning instead of mentioning it when I'm talking about the episode itself. Chapter 522 and the very beginning of 523 focus on Uetsu, with Ichigo and Renji meeting him, and a few other things happen in the bit of content we did not get to see in this episode, because it seems that they've chosen to take the Uetsu content from chapter 522 and the very beginning of 523 and move it around a bit to where, instead of being before the fight that we see start in this episode, it is now going to probably take place after it, most likely. Which, honestly, I think that's interesting. Now I'll just try to quickly get through the episode synopsis so I can give my thoughts and everything. We open up on the scene of Kyoraku learning that he has been appointed as the new head captain. Then the opening plays. Then for the next scene we cut over to Tenjiro's hot springs. Of course, Ichigo complains, asking, why he has to, be dunked under this water, forced to hold his breath. So, of course, Tenjiro walks over and just punches Ichigo, Of course, Ichigo's response to this is, "What on earth? Why would you do that?" And, Tenjiro replies, "Well, the fact that you were able to withstand that punch means that you're fully healed." Of course, Renji is not going to let Ichigo go alone, so he, of course, states that he's also fine. So, of course, Tenjiro goes over there and he punches Renji in the gut. Renji, he's able to stand. We can see his clenched fist shaking, indicating that he's struggling to stand, like this is still painful for him. But despite that, Tenjiro does decide, alright, he's healed enough, he can head off too. So Tenjiro and the other 2 guys he has with him send Ichigo and Renji on their way. Tenjiro mentions the Soul King and how the Soul King is apparently interested in Ichigo for some reason. Then, of course, we cut over to Kyoraku, talking with Central 46. Where Kyoraku states that he wants 2 lieutenants. And, of course, after that, he states that he's made his first decision as head captain. And, of course, that would be to have someone specific train Kenpachi. And, of course, Central 46 is in an uproar about this because, they seem to be in an uproar about everything most of the time, to be honest. And then, of course, in walks the person that Kyoraku wants to train Kenpachi. None other than Captain Unohana herself, or, as it's revealed by Kyoraku, the first Kenpachi. It is really great to finally see this big reveal from the manga be fully animated. We cut over to Ichigo and Renji falling. Then, of course, we have Kon falling out of Ichigo's clothes. And suddenly his body inflates and he is incredibly buff. So, yes, even though they did cut the buff Kon scene from earlier on, it does seem that they chose to leave this scene intact. Ichigo and Renji, they land on Kon, squishing him. Hikifune walks out to greet them. She brings them inside. She starts cooking. So, of course, we see Renji and Ichigo eating. Of course, Hikifune walks back in. Renji and Ichigo's first impression is, "Who are you?" Because she looks a bit different. And, she states, "Oh, whenever I cook, I use my spiritual pressure, and that causes me to lose weight." Then, of course, she takes Ichigo and Renji outside, ready to send them on their way. But, of course, before she does, she explains to them that the Zero Division is pretty much the history of the Soul Society itself. And by that she means each member of the Zero Division has created something incredibly important in the Soul Society. And Hikifune states that she's the person that created the temporary soul. And, the ability to insert it into a body. And, of course, she warns them that the next person whose palace they'll be visiting is Uetsu's, the creator of the Zanpakuto himself. Then, of course, we cut over to the door in Mukin opening. we see Kenpachi walk through it. We see, standing across the room from him, Captain Unohana. We have Kenpachi and Unohana exchanging words for a bit, and of course after a bit, Unohana states that Kenpachi is awfully talkative today, and she prefers it when he's quiet, because every time she hears his voice, the single scar on her begins to ache. Then of course we have them both unsheath their zanpakutos and we have them rushing towards each other. And the animation, it looks great. Of course we cut over to Kyowaku, going over Unohana's history, stating that she was previously the Soul Society's most notorious criminal, utterly ruthless, before the original Gote 13 was formed. And of course he states that unfortunately the only way this battle will end is with one of them dead. Then of course we cut over and we finally see them clash blades, and the music that starts playing is just perfect. We get quick cutaways over to Isane clutching a letter that Captain Unohana left for her, and Yarichu picking up Kenpachi's eye patch they left behind. We cut back over to the fight. The fight's insane. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the fight, but just every swing of the blade, everything about this fight is so well choreographed, in my opinion. Then, of course, after a bit of back and forth, we have Unohana stabbing through Kenpachi's head. We see his blood splatter onto her face. Of course, Kenpachi thinks this is the end, but then suddenly, he's not dead. And instead, him and Unohana are at a stance where they're clashing blades. And of course, Unohana states, well, you spaced out there for a bit. But you can clearly still see, his blood from a moment ago on her face. So, you clearly know that it's not just Kenpachi spacing out there. And I mean, I'm not gonna explain what's actually going on here for people who haven't read the manga, because it's gonna be explained next episode. Of course, then the ending theme plays, that's the end of the episode. It was perfect. It was gorgeous. Everything about this episode is what I hoped it would be when it comes down to this fight, honestly. Now, on to my thoughts about this episode. This episode does have another ending poem. This time, the poem is from volume 59, and it is from Unohana's perspective. I love what we got to see of the Kenpachi and Unohana fight already. It is amazing to see it be animated finally. And I'm really excited for next week's episode, knowing that we'll get to see the rest of and the conclusion of this fight finally animated as well. Well, I think I'm going to end my review here. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.